Hello everyone, this is Liu Yizi. I'm going to present my research proposal for the course MEDD 6014 Methods of Research and Inquiry. Here is the outline of my presentation. First of all, I will give a brief introduction of my research project. Then I will talk about the relevant literature and research findings in fields related to my research area. Thirdly, I will introduce the conceptual framework which will be applied in my research. And lastly, I will talk about the research methodology as well as the limitations of this study. The title of the research project is L3 Motivation, a case study of L3 learning of Mandarin native speakers in Hong Kong. L3 refers to the second foreign language. The definition will be shown on the slide later. So the research project mainly concerns the field of second foreign language acquisition, and will focus on the group of Mandarin native speakers in Hong Kong. Due to the limitation of time and finance, the study will only focus on the undergraduate students at the University of Hong Kong, who were admitted through the Chinese college entrance exam and are currently learning a second foreign language. In terms of student number, mainland students are minority group comparing to the total number of undergraduates at Hong Kong. According to the Hong Kong Youth Student Profile of 2015 and 16, there are 16,000 undergraduate students in total, of which around 2,000 are mainland students. So, mainland students only account for 12% of the whole undergraduate population. As non-locals and newcomers, they will generally encounter some problems regarding language use, culture, and lifestyle. The complexity of language use and transfer may lie first among all the difficulties. As language is part of a person's identity and it belongs to one's whole social being, the use and acquisition of languages may to some degree influence the self-construction of individuals. The learning of foreign language, thus, is a process of alteration in self-image, during which new social behaviors are adopted and the learner's social nature is changed. The majority of mainland students speak Mandarin as L1, though some of them may at the same time speak certain dialects as L1 as well, and English as L2. L1 is also known as native language, which refers to a language that one has been exposed to since his or her birth. L2 refers to second language, which is learned later than in earliest childhood. The intermediate language at the University of Hong Kong is English, while the daily language environment also includes Cantonese, which may also be considered as a foreign language for non-Cantonese students. Thus, for Mandarin native speakers, there are already three languages bases: English, Cantonese, and Mandarin. In such circumstances, the study of a new foreign language requires more motivational factors. Thus, questions emerged. Why do they decide to learn a second foreign language? Do they learn L3 for occupational purposes or because they're interested in foreign cultures? What factors enhance their persistence in L3 learning? Do they have integration with the new community through the use of that language? By carrying out this study, I will examine the L3 learning motivations of Mandarin native speakers in Hong Kong. Despite the abundance of studies focusing on L2 learning motivation, there is little research focusing on the motivation of L3 learners. For mainland students, as the learning process of their second foreign language is conducted in English, it is very possible that L2 will have some potential influence on the acquisition of L3. Thus, the L3 motivation may not be fully illustrated using L2 motivation models developed by second language acquisition scholars during the past few decades. This research may contribute to this seldom reached field of study. L3 learners who have different native languages and possess different L2 levels may have separate academic needs. However, among current study of university foreign language teaching and learning in Hong Kong, there are few who focus on the group of Mandarin native speakers. The study of L3 learners' motivation has significance in directing curriculum makers and lecturers to motivate students in an efficient way. By doing qualitative research on a group of mainland students who currently study a second foreign language at the University of Hong Kong, this research will add its value to the current study of L3 motivation through interviewing L3 learners and analyzing the data received. Here are the literatures that are related to and useful for the research. Literature review is divided into two major sections. First is the author acquisition, and second is the foreign language learning motivation. The acquisition of third language is a relative new field of research. Although it has been decades that scholars agree that there is no significant difference between the acquisition of L2 and L3, the learning of L3 can be more complex than that of L2, since both the acquisition process of L2 and L2 language itself may have an influence on it. This has been supported by many studies conducted in the past 2 decades. For example, in a study carried out in a Swiss primary school, researchers found out that the children's L2 listening and reading skills have potential influences on their acquisition of third languages. Motivational issues were brought into the L2 field by the following scholars: Gardner, Lambert, and Lalonde. The 2 Canadian psychologists, Robert Gardner and Wallace Lambert, grounded L2 motivation research in a socio-psychological framework. Their findings were basically based on studies conducted within the bilingual context of Canadian society from 1960s to early 1990s, during which Gardner's socio-educational model of second language education was prevailing in the field of L2 research. According to him, the socio-educational model provides the fundamental foreign language motivations research paradigm. There are 2 factors influencing language learning achievement: ability and motivation. And the motivational construct includes 2 components: language learning motivation and classroom motivation. Gardner's motivation construct remained unchallenged until early 1990s. His motivational construct in socio-educational model has often been understood as the interplay of integrative and instrumental motivations, where the former refers to the willingness to interact with L2 group and to integrate into the community, and the latter refers to the practical needs of learning L2. However, Gardner's motivation construct was found to be lack of an educational dimension and details on cognitive perspectives of learning motivation. In 1990s, the direction of educational psychological research was moving to the cognitive aspects, represented by the self-determination model by Clement and Noel. This model focuses on the intrinsic and extrinsic aspects of L2 motivation, which were shown to have a correlation with language learning achievements. In addition to instrumental motivation of L2 learning, there are 3 general motivations to learn a second language: knowledge, friendship, and travel motivations. Moreover, Dornier found 3 dimensions that were not included in Gardner's integrative motivational orientations: interest in the foreign language and the culture behind, attempt to broaden one's horizon, and attempt for new challenges. Other scholars also put forward additional cognitive motivational orientations, such as to enjoy the elitism of learning a hard language, or to have a private code that is exclusive to others. In 2000, the central concept in L2 motivation research is instead the L2 motivational self-system put forward by Dornier. The system introduced 3 sources of L2 learning motivations: the ideal self, which refers to the imagined self-image as a professional L2 user; the auto self, which refers to the self-state that learners find themselves able to realize; and the L2 learning experience, which refers to the motivation's impact of language learning experiences. This qualitative case study will focus on mainland undergraduate students who are studying L3 at Hong Kong, of whom L1 is Mandarin and L2 is English. The study aims to examine their motivation for learning another foreign language. The general research question and sub-questions are as follows. What are the L2 learning motivations of Mandarin native speakers in the University of Hong Kong at language level, learner level, and learning situation level? This study attempts to adopt the tripartite foreign language learning motivation model for the following reasons. The model put forward by Dornier was based on Gardner's socio-education model, which has been influential and significant in the fields of foreign language learning motivations. The empirical use of this model has also been proved. Based on previous model, this model is precisely designed to help understand foreign language learning motivation from 3 different levels: language level, learner level, and learning situation level. At language level, the motivation is divided into integrative motivation and instrumental motivation. This is based on Gardner's socio-educational model of second language acquisition. Learners with integrative motivation learn language in order to better understand and integrate with the community where people speak this language. Learners with instrumental motivation usually learn the language because of some practical reasons, for example, to search for a job. At learner level, the motivation includes the need for achievement and self-confidence. Learners are motivated to learn a foreign language because through making progress in language learning, one can get the sense of achievement. At the same time, it is a way of increasing self-confidence level. At self-confidence level, the model includes language use anxiety, perceived language competence, causal attributions, and self-efficacy. At learning situation level, the motivation includes two major components: cause-specific motivational components, which include interest, relevance, expectancy, and satisfaction; teacher-specific motivational components, which include affiliative drive, authority type, and direct socialization of motivation. The research will conduct an explanatory qualitative case study, which aims at studying mainland students' motivations of L3 learning through an interpretive and naturalistic approach. Case study is chosen as the research method because of the complexity of the research topic. Language learning motivations can be very complicated since they may be largely due to interviewees' personal life experience. Semi-structured interviews may help the researcher gain an in-depth interpretation of the issue if compared to other research methods. 10 mainland students from Hong Kong U that meet the requirement will be interviewed individually. The research will use convenience sampling combined with snowball sampling. First of all, participants will be recruited from past classmates of the researcher. Then participants will be asked to identify one or more people who meet the requirements. There will be 5 males and 5 females interviewed who obtain a variety of family economic level, hometown, and language studied. All interviewees will be undergraduate mainland students at HKU who received previous education in mainland China and has passed through the Chinese college entrance exam. Data will be collected through semi-structured interviews, which are flexible and mainly with open-ended questions. An audio recorder will be used to record the conversation with the permission of the interviewee. Research audit trail will be kept to ensure dependability, which includes the raw data, data reduction and analysis notes, and data reconstruction and synthesis products. The research will carry out persistent and intensive observation towards the participants to ensure credibility. At the same time, researchers' potential biases will be clarified towards the topic. The informed consent will be offered to the participants, so they will be aware of the research purpose, risks, and discomfort. Privacy and confidentiality will be addressed in the research period. Since the research will cover some personal details of the participants, the information collected will not be used for other purposes. Since the research will use face-to-face interview as the research method, participants' responses may be influenced by the presence of the researcher. Besides, researchers' biases may influence the interview process. Subjectivity may not be fully avoided in the data analysis period. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.